Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel.
Truth behind Ronnie's secret. A deadly game unfolds on General Hospital. The halls of the Quartermain mansion have never been darker than they are now. Ronnie Bard, Monica Quartermain's long-lost sister, who arrived in Port Charles just weeks after Monica's passing, carries more than just the burden of a fraudulent will. She harbors a secret so dangerous that it may cost her everything. As whispers echo through the corridors of ABC's General Hospital, fans brace themselves for what could be Ronnie's final chapter, one that ends not in redemption, but in tragedy. The revelation that Ronnie was never meant to inherit the Quartermain estate has sent shockwaves through Port Charles. Tracy Quartermain discovered Monica's authentic will hidden among boxes of Alan's belongings, revealing the truth that many suspected. The inheritance was a fabrication orchestrated by attorney Martin Gray. But this betrayal of trust is merely the surface of a much deeper conspiracy. Behind Ronnie's tearful eyes and trembling voice lies another secret, one she guards more fiercely than any confession about forged documents. The inheritance that never was. When Martin Gray cornered Ronnie in the Quartermain mansion just days ago, his words cut through her like a knife. "If it weren't for me, you'd still be waiting tables," he sneered, reminding her that he had written her into Monica's will without her sister's knowledge or consent. The mansion, the fortune, the newfound family connections, all of it was built on lies that Martin had carefully constructed. Ronnie's hands shook as she gripped the edge of the antique desk. "This has gone too far, Martin. I never wanted any of this." "You'll do exactly as I say," Martin replied coldly, his demeanor a stark contrast to the jovial lawyer Port Charles thought they knew. "Sell this house to Drew Kane, or you'll rot in prison for fraud." The confrontation exposed Martin's true motivation: revenge against Tracy Quartermain, who had once had him arrested and left him financially devastated. Ronnie had been nothing more than a pawn in his vindictive game, a convenient tool to hurt Tracy where it would damage her most by taking away the Quartermain family home. But Tracy's discovery of Monica's original will changed everything. When she burst into the mansion, waving the document that proved Monica had actually left the estate to Tracy herself, the facade finally crumbled. Ronnie, caught between Martin's threats and her own conscience, broke down completely. "I'm so sorry," Ronnie sobbed, facing the Quartermain family she had come to care for. "Martin forged the will. He blackmailed me into this. I never wanted to deceive any of you." The secret she cannot tell. Yet even as Ronnie confessed to her role in Martin's scheme, another secret burned behind her words, one she dared not speak aloud. In the weeks since arriving in Port Charles, Ronnie had stumbled upon information that connected Martin to something far more sinister than will forgery. During one of their clandestine meetings, she had overheard a phone conversation that chilled her to the bone. Words that suggested Martin's connections extended into dangerous territory involving some of Port Charles's most ruthless players. "I can't tell them," Ronnie whispered to herself late at night, staring at her reflection in the mirror of the guest room she would soon have to vacate. "If Martin finds out, I know. If they find out." The secret gnawed at her. It involved names she recognized from news reports, whispers of criminal enterprises, and connections that could unravel far more than a simple inheritance fraud. Ronnie had accidentally become privy to information about Martin's dealings with powerful individuals who would stop at nothing to protect their interests. Each day, Ronnie felt the weight of eyes watching her. Was it paranoia, or was someone truly monitoring her movements? She caught glimpses of unfamiliar faces outside the mansion, cars that seemed to follow her on the rare occasions she left the estate. The knowledge she possessed made her a liability, and in Port Charles, liabilities had a way of disappearing. A conspiracy unraveling. As the truth about the forged will spread through Port Charles, Ronnie found herself at a crossroads. The district attorney, Justine Turner, offered her a deal: testify against Martin, reveal everything she knew about his schemes, and she might avoid prison time. It seemed like a lifeline, a way out of the nightmare that had consumed her life since arriving in this city of secrets. "Ms. Bard, if you cooperate fully with our investigation, we can offer you immunity," Justine said during their private meeting at the courthouse. "But we need complete disclosure." Everything Martin Gray told you, everything he did, we need to know it all. Ronnie nodded slowly, but fear flickered in her eyes. Complete disclosure. The words echoed ominously. If she told the authorities everything, including the secret that had nothing to do with Monica's, she would be signing her own death warrant. The people Martin was connected to did not forgive witnesses. They did not leave loose ends. I'll tell you what I know about the will, Ronnie said carefully. But that's all there is. The lead tasted bitter on her tongue, but survival demanded it. Yet even as she tried to protect herself through selective silence, the walls were closing in. Martin, facing his own legal jeopardy, had grown increasingly desperate. Would he use Ronnie's hidden knowledge as leverage against her? Or worse, would he reveal to his dangerous associates that Ronnie knew too much? The threat of silence. In Port Charles, secrets have a way of becoming deadly. Ronnie learned this truth too late, as she realized that her silence about Martin's deeper connections made her both a potential witness and a potential victim. Someone wanted to ensure that whatever Ronnie knew would never reach the wrong ears or any ears at all. Strange incidents began to occur. A near miss with a car that ran a red light as Ronnie crossed the street. A suspicious fire alarm at the Quartermain mansion that emptied the house in the middle of the night. Small things, perhaps coincidental, but Ronnie felt the noose tightening around her neck. "Are you all right?" Michael Corinthos asked one afternoon, noticing Ronnie's haunted expression. "You seem frightened." "I'm fine," Ronnie lied, forcing a smile. Just overwhelmed by everything that's happened. But she was far from fine. Ronnie had realized a terrible truth. The only way to truly protect herself would be to expose everything she knew. Yet doing so would paint an even larger target on her back. She was trapped in an impossible situation, damned if she spoke and doomed if she remained silent. A departure marked by shadow. Erika Slezak, the legendary actress portraying Ronnie, has announced her departure from General Hospital, confirming that her stint in Port Charles was always intended to be brief. The show filmed approximately 6 weeks of material featuring the character, and those episodes are now drawing to a close. Slezak, who earned 6 Emmy Awards for her iconic portrayal of Vicky Lord on One Life to Live, has thanked fans for their warm reception of her General Hospital appearance. But the manner of Ronnie's exit remains shrouded in mystery. Will she simply leave town, returning to her quiet life in North Carolina with the locket Monica truly meant to leave her? Or does a darker fate await? The fictional scenario playing out suggests the latter. In the world of soap operas, characters who know too much rarely ride quietly into the sunset. Ronnie's secret, whatever connection she discovered between Martin and Port Charles's criminal underworld, makes her a dangerous loose end. And in the ruthless world where mob bosses and corrupt officials operate with impunity, loose ends are inevitably tied up. The final confrontation. In Ronnie's final days in Port Charles, tension reaches a breaking point. Martin, learning that Ronnie has been speaking with the district attorney, confronts her one last time. The scene is intimate and terrifying to people bound together by shared guilt and mutual fear. "What did you tell them?" Martin demands, his voice low and threatening. "Only about the will," Ronnie responds, backing away. "Nothing else." "I swear, Martin, I said nothing about." "About what?" A new voice interrupts, cold and unfamiliar. A figure emerges from the shadows, someone connected to the larger conspiracy that Ronnie had accidentally uncovered. "What exactly do you know, Ms. Bard?" Ronnie's face drains of color. This is the moment she had dreaded, the confrontation she had hoped to avoid. In that instant, she makes a choice. If she is going to die for what she knows, she will at least die telling the truth. "I know everything," she says, her voice steadier than she feels. "And I've written it all down. If anything happens to me, it all comes out." It is a bluff, a desperate gambit for survival. But in Port Charles, bluffs are called, and survival is never guaranteed. The scene fades to black as Ronnie's fate hangs in the balance. The legacy of deception. Whether Ronnie Bard meets a tragic end or manages to escape Port Charles alive, her brief time in the city leaves lasting scars. The Quartermain family, still reeling from Monica's death, now must grapple with the betrayal of trust that Ronnie and Martin perpetrated. Tracy, vindicated in her suspicions but finding no joy in being proven right, takes ownership of the mansion that Monica intended for her, though the victory feels hollow. Martin Gray faces the full weight of his crimes, his reputation destroyed, and his relationship with his sister Laura irreparably damaged. The revelation of his manipulation and forgery strips away any sympathy he might have garnered, exposing him as a man consumed by petty vengeance and willing to destroy an innocent woman's life to satisfy his grudge. And Ronnie herself, whether she survives or not, becomes a cautionary tale about the price of secrets. She came to Port Charles seeking connection with her sister's family, hoping to understand the woman she had been separated from so many years ago. Instead, she became entangled in a web of deception that threatened not only her freedom but her very life. The question that remains: as Erika Slezak's final episodes air and Ronnie's story reaches its conclusion, one question haunts viewers. What was the secret worth killing for? What information did Ronnie possess that made her such a threat? The answer may lie in connections yet to be revealed, in the shadowy corners of Port Charles where criminals and conspirators conduct their business away from prying eyes. In the end, Ronnie Bard's tragedy is not merely that she was used as a pawn in Martin Gray's revenge scheme. Her true tragedy is that she learned too much, saw too clearly into the darkness that lurks beneath Port Charles's genteel surface. Knowledge in this city is not power. It is a death sentence for those unlucky enough to possess it without the means to protect themselves. The Quartermain mansion stands, as it always has, a monument to family legacy and the complicated bonds that tie people together. But within its walls, the echo of Ronnie's presence remains a reminder that even the most innocent can be swept up in Port Charles's endless cycle of secrets, lies, and consequences that often prove fatal. Whether Ronnie's final chapter ends in escape or tragedy, her brief appearance in the lives of the Quartermains will not soon be forgotten. And the secret she carried may yet have repercussions that shake Port Charles to its foundation. Or Charles to its foundation. Next, we will learn about the explosive mystery surrounding Anna Devane's latest chilling ordeal, her relentless pursuit of answers, and the jaw-dropping revelations threatening to shatter Port Charles forever. Anna Devane's daring investigation. Anna Devane's commitment to truth and justice has long made her both respected and feared within Port Charles. In November 2025, Anna's tenacity is pushed to the brink. Her current investigation is a labyrinth of deception, centering on disturbing rumors that infamous villain Caesar Faison may have used cutting-edge technology to defy the laws of mortality and return from the dead. Anna, never one to turn away from danger, has connected a web of evidence, cryptic fingerprints belonging to Nathan West, suspicious circumstances surrounding Burt Westburn's supposed death, and the mysterious Professor Dalton's shadowy research project all seem to spiral toward the impossible. Someone has developed resurrection science, and Faison is at the heart of it. The weight of this investigation is crushing not just for Anna, but for those closest to her. Friends and colleagues alike have grown weary questioning Anna's mental stability and her relentless pursuit of the truth. However, Anna's suspicion and instincts have proven prophetic, as her fears manifest in ways no one could have predicted. The calculated chloroform attack. In a scene rife with suspense echoing classic spy thrillers, Anna's investigation takes a deadly turn when she is ambushed in her car and rendered unconscious by a chloroform attack. This sensational act isn't random, but deliberate, a desperate attempt to halt Anna's relentless digging into life and death technology and the possible resurrection of Faison. The hospital's corridors buzz with speculation and dread as her advocates scramble for explanations, knowing that Anna was on the verge of a breakthrough that could expose an existential threat to the entire town. Suspects and motives. Who stands behind the attack? Speculation runs wild regarding the identity of Anna's attacker. 3 figures loom large in the list of suspects, each with motive, means, and dark secrets. Jack Brennan. The newly recast and supremely menacing Brennan has become a fixture of ominous warnings. He urged Anna to worrying about herself months prior, has manipulated her psychologically, and has escalated threats into outright violence. Valentin Casadini. known equally for his charm and ruthlessness. Valentin's history of twisted logic could justify a kidnapping for her own good. He might believe Anna is safer out of the picture if Faison is truly resurrected and coming for her. Caesar Faison, the resurrected mastermind himself, could be orchestrating these attacks, manipulating pawns to silence Anna and ensure his return remains a secret. The real terror emerges if Faison's influence spreads beyond the grave. Fans wonder, is Brennan operating solo, or is he just a chess piece in a broader, more insidious game? Could Valentin's complex relationship with Anna force his hand in protecting her in the darkest way possible? Or has Faison's return warped reality so completely that any Port Charles resident could be compromised by resurrection technology? The sinister resurrection technology. Anna's investigation has peeled back layers on one of the most extraordinary conspiracies in General Hospital history, the development of technology to reverse death itself. This is no mere medical marvel, but a tool capable of erasing the boundary between life and eternity, a notion so extreme it threatens to upend the very fabric of Port Charles society. Professor Dalton's research, long regarded as speculative and dangerous, now stands at the nexus of the chaos. What began as clandestine scientific curiosity has become a weapon that sinister forces, perhaps even entire underground syndicates, might wield for their own self-serving agendas. Anna's detective skills snagged her direct evidence, dubious fingerprints at crime scenes, and testimonies from frightened insiders. Her pursuit made her the prime target, proving that her fears weren't mere paranoia but the rational conclusions of a brilliant operative facing an unimaginable plot. The aftermath, Anna's abduction and the ripple effects. The chloroform attack signals the opening volley in a gripping, multi-episode abduction storyline. Anna is now missing, held captive by a perpetrator who seeks to control her, her intel, and her fate. As the days pass, Port Charles rallies, establishing previously unimaginable alliances and uniting former rivals, all in a race against time to rescue Anna before her captors can silence her permanently. This crisis draws notable figures into the fray. Robert Scorpio, Anna's decades-long partner and trusted friend, is pushed into action. His skills as a detective and his personal motivation produce a forceful response that galvanizes Port Charles' law enforcement community. Valentin Casadini may find himself in the unusual position of working with the WSB or even Scorpio as he confronts the reality that Anna's disappearance threatens more lives than just her own. WSB agents, some previously dismissing Anna's suspicions as nervous obsession, will be forced to reevaluate their perspective and take Brennan's suspicious activities seriously, realizing too late that Anna's warnings may be the only hope of unraveling the entire resurrection operation. Psychological fallout in Port Charles. Anna's abduction sends shockwaves through the hospital and the greater community. Colleagues who ridiculed her for obsessing over Faison now grapple with guilt and fear, realizing their skepticism may have hindered the investigation and imperiled Anna's life. Britt Westburn, whose own fake death adds an ironic twist, may be forced to emerge from the shadows, face her family, and admit to the hidden research that catalyzed this disaster. In addition, new faces emerge who are scientists, secret agents, and opportunists, each drawn to the singular event threatening Port Charles' future. The uncertainty over resurrection technology breeds division and paranoia, forcing rivals to assess their allegiances. Is anyone safe? Are Anna's allies unwittingly marked for targeting as well? Hope, betrayal, and redemption. As November sweeps roll on, Anna's captivity sets the stage for a series of betrayals and acts of heroism. Some characters, previously indifferent or hostile, now risk everything to save Anna and restore balance. Others may succumb to temptation, trading secrets for power over the life and death technology at play. Anna herself, renowned for her resilience, will likely be forced into a brutal mental and physical contest with her captors, testing every skill and alliance she's gained over the years. Her efforts to outsmart her adversaries will guide the heart of the story, exposing true loyalties and masking hidden villains, and finally proving that her relentless fixation on Faison's resurrection was prophetic, not delusional. The road ahead, unfolding consequences. In the wake of Anna's abduction and the shocking revelations about resurrection science, the residents of Port Charles and viewers everywhere must brace for fallout that will last beyond November. Relationships will be tested. Alliances forged in crisis could lead to lasting changes. And the mythos of life, death, and redemption within General Hospital will evolve forever. So stay tuned as ABC General Hospital dives into its most ambitious storyline yet. With Anna Devane fighting for her life, the entire town caught in a conspiracy of science and secrets, and the possibility that Port Charles may never return to the world it once knew.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye.